Disclaimer: the information provided on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. We are not licensed financial professionals, and any opinions shared are based on personal experiences and research. As always, do your own due diligence and consult with a certified financial advisor or professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome back. All right, so here today we're actually going to do a book review on You Deserve to Be Rich, and the authors are Rashad Bilal and Millings from Earn Your Leisure. So my boy, he actually sent me the information one day to kind of just check their videos out and see, their content. And I actually end up becoming kind of obsessed with the content. So if you follow me on my personal page, you do see me post a lot of their content, a lot of the information that they share. I tune into their Market Mondays, and I also tune into their Blackout that is on Wednesday. And they also drop videos as well throughout the week. So randomly they'll come in, drop some information about maybe something that happened to the news, something that's going on to the stock market. I know their last episode, they were out in Guana, I believe. They're out working on the housing project out there. So they kind of just inspired me to, provide the information that I know. It's not at the highest scale like them, but the information I have is to kind of help you get a baseline and get started. So we're going to take a deep dive into this book. I really enjoyed reading this book. I don't think I ever went through a book as quickly as I did with this one. So this book really shed light to, how to budget, how to invest, what avenues you can invest in. It breaks down like what an IRA is, a 401k. So it breaks it down to the simplest form, but also is very knowledgeable. So I thought the book was written beautifully. So they had a side A and a side B. So kind of just like, a little mixtape there. So we're going to dive into side A here. And again, this is one of the books that I had listed on one of my older videos when I broke down the Budgeting 101, which I believe was my second episode. So a little bit more information there. But let's go ahead and get started with side A. All right, so we're going to kick it off with side A here. So again, I really thought this book was one of my better reads in the past couple years. I got a lot of valuable information out of the book, and a lot of it I could personally relate to as well, because both of them, Rashad and Troy, came from humble beginnings, which is mentioned in the book. Troy was he used to be a school teacher before he actually got into Earn Your Leisure. So I just thought, the stories that they have, the motivation that they have, it kind of, it resonates with you. If you, tune into their Market Mondays, if you tune into their blackouts on Wednesdays, like the information they provide is so next level. But once you start watching and start researching and start getting a better understanding of what, they're talking about, then it just opens your eyes to a bigger picture. So like going to side A, the first thing, of course, is going to be the budget. So they kind of talked about what a budget looks like to them and how you want to allocate your funds, and something that they tell their EYL members, what they kind of recommend when it comes to a budget. So what they recommend is 55% spending, 20% investing, 15% saving, and 10% sharing, which we'll dive that into a little later once we review side B. So again, it's 55% in spending. So this is all your bills, your rent, utilities, your groceries, your gas, like anything that you spend that's a necessity, that you're going to put 55%. 20% is going to be investing. This also includes your 401k. So for example, if you match your 401k at 6%, then technically you're going to be investing 12% with that match. So that's how I looked at it. 15% saving, and then 10% sharing. So that's how they broke it down. Next thing that actually really caught my attention was that black families only own 10% of wealth in America. And we're getting more black individuals to invest and start understanding what it's like to save money, which we'll review later in this video as well. But there's still a lot of work that we can do and a lot of love and knowledge that we can share in order for all of us to try to have a better future. So after that, they talk about resetting your mind for delayed gratification. So what delayed gratification is, let's just say you had something that you want. Maybe it's like a purse that you want. That's, let's just say, $1,000. All right, so the purse is $1,000. I have the credit to get it now, but maybe I don't want to use my credit card. So, my delayed gratification would be I would set a, saving plan. So let's just say I save $100 a month for 10 months. That's my $1,000, and now I can treat myself to this purse. So that's the delayed gratification that they're mentioning, is because you can get that purse on your credit card, but now you're getting that on your credit card with an 18, 20 plus percent interest rate instead of just paying it out cash. And there's no interest rate, there's no minimum payments towards it. So that's what they mean about delayed gratification. Another one that I really found interesting was healing your financial trauma. So I believe if you come from a similar background than me, we all deal with financial trauma at some form in our life, whether if that's, not trusting banks, whether that's like fear of losing all your money. We all kind of deal with that financial trauma. But in order to keep growing and have a better future, you need to get over that financial trauma, which they kind of break down in the book on certain ways that you can get over the financial trauma and how that financial trauma is actually having a negative impact on the potential that your dollars have for you to grow your wealth. Next, they talked about credit being king, which credit is essentially king. So without credit, it's, payments are higher, interest rates are higher, the whole 9 yards. Rates will be higher. So the better your credit is, the better chance you have of taking something out using your credit, and it'll probably be at a lower interest rate, which will reduce your overall monthly payment and overall what you would pay back to that lender. And also, you can check your credit report free once a year at annualcreditreport.com. So that's something that they put in there. They definitely highly recommend looking into your credit report because, those agencies aren't perfect either. So they actually do make mistakes as well. So, you want to make sure that you sit down once a year. Again, it's once a year. Take an hour or so to sit down, look at your credit report, see what's on there. Maybe there's a mistake, and then you can call the credit bureau to file a dispute. And the last one is that I really enjoyed, that I had to note down here, was we all got to take accountability. So no one's coming to save us, right? So if you really look at the statistics, anyone who's a millionaire, they're like a first-time generation millionaire. There's really not a lot of people that come from inheritance that gives them that type of wealth or that type of status. So we have to start taking accountability and owning up to the mistakes that we made, and just not make the same mistakes. If that's what the goal that you want, right? If the goal is having a better tomorrow, to have more funds set aside, so if something does happen, you don't have to rely on credit. You essentially have that egg nest saved up, and also it allows you to have more money that you can free up down the road. So when you do retire, that's something that you have that you can spend, and something that you can pass on when it's your time to go. So, all this really starts with taking accountability in yourself, looking yourself in the mirror, just recognizing the mistakes that you made. Because we all make mistakes. No one's perfect when it comes to finances. You still want to treat yourself. You still want to do things like that. And there's really no right or wrong answer to how to build wealth. It's just at least you're getting to the habit of, reducing your spending to the point where you're not spending more than what you make. All right, so this is directly from Yahoo's website. So this is a report that came out in 2024, so in January 2024, that finds Black people were the biggest new group of stock investors. So what does this mean? So with the help of social media, mobile apps, and open discussion about finance, the stock market has diversified. So again, this really starts with the platform like Earn Your Leisure, and platforms that will give you that information, and you can relate more because these are people who look like you, came from a similar background than you, who's made it out to have a better successful life, and they're sharing that knowledge with you. And that's one thing they touched on in the book is EYL in a year. So they go over the yearly plan that they had and a similar plan that you can execute as well to get started. Now, not saying that you're going to blow up like, Earn Your Leisure in 1 year, but it's better to get started now than just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's kind of the idea behind what Earn Your Leisure is trying to put the message across, is that there's a bigger picture than everything that's going on right now. And also that you can build a better tomorrow, not only for you, but for your loved ones and for generations to come, which is building your legacy, which is what they mentioned in side B. But going back to the article here, so as you can see, the Wall Street Journal, they reported that in 2022, almost 40% of Black Americans owned a stock. So this is up about a third from 2016. So again, change is bound to happen. It just takes time. But we need to keep spreading the love. We need to keep spreading the knowledge, so that way we can see, our black counterparts essentially build wealth that they can pass on for generations to come. Let's change the game. We'll talk about sitting down with your kids and talk about finances, and when we cover side B. But also, we want everyone to have a better tomorrow. We want everyone to become wealthy, not have to worry about a dollar, not have to stress about going to work. But it is a known fact that when it comes to Black people in general, we don't necessarily have the resources, and we don't necessarily have the networking and the connections in place to make that happen. So that's why I really like a platform like Earn Your Leisure, because it really opened my eye and to get a understanding that anyone can make money. It may be harder on our end because of the environment that we're in and the resources that we have, but if you do your research, if you go on the internet, again, most of this is driven by social media. So social media can be used in a positive way. And again, when it comes to Earn Your Leisure, they really break it down to the next level. The book that they wrote really gives you the like an entry level basis of how to start investing, what to look for, how to save for your kids. So once I'm seeing this and I'm reading these articles, it does make me happy to see that we're having more Black investors. And what I really liked is that the growth was led by investors under the age of 40. So again, social media and platforms are really driving people to become educated to go ahead and invest. So that's the thing. We have to keep spreading our knowledge. We have to keep spreading our love, because as you guys know, it's crazy out in the world. No one's coming to save us. We're only here to save ourselves. So we need to help each other when we can in any time of need. All right, so let's go ahead, pop that mixtape out. We're going to flip it, slide it in, side B, and we're about to get started listening and reviewing side B. So one of the first things I took out of side B, this is more talking about the investment side of things, and they wrap up with just some general information about some things that you may want to look into, which we're going to cover here in just a moment. So the first thing that really caught my attention was fractional shares. So this is where, let's say, for example, a stock costs $100, but you don't have $100. A lot of platforms will actually let you do fractional shares within that stock. So that means you can buy the stock, even though it's listed for $100, you can buy the stock for $5, and you can put another 5 in, then you can put another 5 in, you can do 20, whatever amount you can get up to get 100 to get to that one stock. The stock market has evolved and things are changing with the power of technology. So now you don't have to just wait until you get $100 to buy into that company. You can go ahead and just take your fractional shares, $5, $10, $15, and just set that as a recurring transaction, and that's still better than nothing when you come into investing. So once I looked into fractional shares, I thought it was a really good way to get in if you may not have a bunch of capital to get started, because you can still start building your capital over time. So, I know Fidelity does it. I believe Robinhood does it. A couple other platforms out there, they do it. But again, this is where it comes to getting your notes out, doing your research, and seeing what platform works best for you and who may offer what. So another thing was 10% of your income should go to sharing. Just understand that, when you go on this journey, it's just not, it's not just you that goes on this journey. Yeah, you may be the main contributor. Yeah, you're the one putting the work in, but it also takes a village and a really good support system to help you achieve these goals. And that's not even really just talking about maybe, someone for daycare, things like that. All those are important. All those are beneficial, but also having positive people in your corner who wants to see you succeed. So when I was reading the book and they were talking about, give the 10% to sharing, that is essentially the people who helped you along the way, your close friends, your close family. You set 10% aside of your net income, and that's what you have to share throughout the year. Because sharing is still caring, and then the more you make as you continue going through like your career and life, then you can go ahead and you can also start donating. That will also go into your share account. So the more you make, the more that you would have to essentially share and give. But it's important to remember to give because, again, if you're similar to where, like me, where our humble beginnings, where we came from, giving back to those type of causes that helped you along the way is just, it's a blessing that you're in that position to do that, right? So, definitely don't want to, this comes with financial trauma, right? If you have a bunch of money sitting around, again, you want to establish yourself first, of course, but you still want to share to loved ones in need, and you still want to give back to those organizations who may have helped you, grow when you really needed it. So they also talked about 20% should go into investing. So again, you want to sit down, calculate how much you're spending to savings. So you want to try to get to that 20% threshold, and that will still allow you room to still save and still spend and still enjoy your life essentially. The average credit card balance right now is $6,800. That probably did spike after the pandemic. As you guys know, prices are going up. They're not going to get any cheaper. So, working your way down and trying to get off that high interest debt will be key. So once I saw 6,800, I was like, wow, like that's a lot of money at 18%. And, you may pay it a couple months off and you may have to use it again. So that's the cycle that you want to try to get out of. And I really like this one because my mistakes do not have power over me. And I really took that quote because early on, again, you don't know what you don't know. So you might as well not beat yourself up about it. You might as well just learn from your mistakes, be better tomorrow. So don't beat yourself up about some dumb mistakes you may have made in college where, again, you may not have the resources or the knowledge that you do now, right? It's easy to beat yourself up. You're your own worst critic. So give yourself that grace. You're getting started. You're trying to build more money. You're trying to build a future for your family. Like, just let that be your main driver. Again, as you go through this journey with me, your why, right? Remember your why and stick to your why. No one's perfect with money, and no one, it's very rare that we start with just a bunch of money, right? So explain your why. Understand that. Let that be your driver, and don't beat yourself up. We all going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to lose money. Famous saying, to earn money, you need to lose money, essentially, right? And I always say, lost dollars turn into learned lessons. You're going to lose dollars, but once you lose those dollars, they're going to turn into those learned lessons that you can carry on and even pass down to those who you may want to try to mentor one day. Another thing is understand that I don't know everything, and that's okay. And kind of how I said earlier, you want to, get professional help. There's nothing wrong with that. I am completely fine not knowing everything. I actually never want to ever be the smartest person in the room because I can't learn that way. And, the more information that you look, the more information that you know, you're going to put yourself in these rooms with people who's been investing for 20, 30, 40 years. Like, these are people who have been in the game. Their knowledge is wealth among itself. So, you definitely want to take notes. Things are definitely different when they started investing to how it is now, but the principles, like if you read through all these investment books, even from early 2000s and then late 1900s to even now, there's a lot of the same core principles that are in all of these books. So that's one thing that you want to keep in mind on, is that yes, they're older, but then they saw more than just one downfall in the market, right? So they may have lived through 1, 2, 3, 4, like how many downfalls, like. So they have experience on what it's like for the market to crash and for the market to come back up. And that is knowledge among itself, and that's wealth among itself. So another thing that they really started to get into is trying to find that balance between money and love. Like, you can still love your family, and you can still go and try to make money, and you can still be there for your family. So, one thing is you're going to have to sacrifice something. And that's just anything that you want to do in life. If you want to be the best at something, you're going to have to sacrifice. You can't go through life without sacrifices. Even me, when I moved from Pennsylvania down to West Virginia, one of the biggest thing I had to do was sacrifice everything and everyone I knew to try to even see if I can have a better opportunity here. Luckily, it worked out. I'm definitely blessed with the people in my corner, my wife, my son, my family. Definitely blessed to all have them in my corner by my side. But that's not always the case. But I understood that I had to, get out my comfort zone to go try to have that brighter future. And another one that I liked is you can discuss finance with your kids. So I've actually been looking into this a little bit, and I think it really makes sense. So I think it's okay to have a mature conversation with you and your partner, with your child in the room, because it's going to show them how to navigate these type of conversations. So put it this way, 50% of marriages, or most marriages, end off of finances, right? So if you do the research on divorces, a lot of it is due to finances, because growing up, finances was grown folk business. Like, you have no need to be in our finances. Well, it's like, okay, now I'm looking at it when I'm older, like, yes, you can still have it like be grown folk business, but how is your kid going to learn how to navigate or understand money when they're not teaching in the schools, and then you're not educating them and let them join in on these conversations? So, that's something that I would want to do with my son, is really have him involved into these conversations, just to show him how money works. And the earlier that he's able to understand and get started, the better chance he has to pick up those type of money habits and carry on, his journey. So when I saw that, and then when they broke it down that it's okay to have these conversations with the kids, that's something that, once he's of age, of course, if I have a conversation with a 4-year-old about money, it's going to be, okay, let me go ahead and get my talkies, right? Like, all right, cool. Obviously, when they're of age, you want to start having those conversations to have them start understanding how money truly works. Because a lot of times they say, you don't know what your parents teach you something that they don't know, which is true. But if you're doing the research and you're educating yourself on money and finances, I don't see any wrong with having your kid join in to go over what a budget looks like, what's the house expensive looks like, where can we cut, what's investments are looking like. It's just only going to show them and motivate them to, have those similar habits. All right. So another thing that they touched on was get a savings account for taxes. So like for me, I have multiple accounts. So I have multiple savings accounts for like vacation, general, emergency savings. So these are the type of accounts that we're trying to build up. And then I have 2 checking accounts. So I have, one for me and then one for our bill account. So, all our money goes into our bill account that we need to pay the bills for. And then whatever left over, that's free game between, me and my wife. So, that's how it works well for us. The biggest thing is always having that constant communication. And that's the key, is having that constant communication and always trying to be on the same page. One thing that, we started was going out to lunch like once a month. So we may actually go out to lunch just to talk about the house finances and what goals that we may have. So, one thing that we're looking to do is trying to maybe add a deck. All right, well, how much is it going to be to add a deck? What are we going to look into? How much can we realistically save towards this deck? What is this going to look like in a couple months from now, or in about a year and now? Like, what's our timeline? These are things that you can sit down. You go to a public place, because you're not going to embarrass each other inside of a public place. So if you guys even disagree and you feel like the conversation is getting heated, you know what? Okay, well, let's just go ahead. We'll both do our research. We'll take our notes and we'll come back together, and then we'll have a better conversation and see where we can meet and, what may be the best solution. And again, if you have to, get a financial advisor involved. It does not hurt to have a professional look over your situation. So a couple things here before we wrap up. The next one is a money team. So that when they list the money team, I was actually really excited to see what they have here. So a mentor. So a mentor is someone that's been in the game. A mentor is someone that is, has reputation, that has the funds in place already. Someone that can, show you what they've done to gain their wealth. A financial planner, accounting, attorney. So these are all things that you want to have once you get to a certain threshold, because it is going to be important to continue your financial planning. Even if someone hits 100K, what do you, all right, so how are you going to get your next 100K? How are you going to get to the 100K after that? You can get a financial investor for that. All right, well, man, I'm spending way more than what I bring home. I need to create a budget. Get a financial advisor. These are people that can really set you up no matter what level you're at. It's just a matter of getting started. Accountant, an attorney, an assistant. So like for me, an assistant would be like my wife, right? And not saying that she's my assistant, but she is someone that's going to be there for me, someone that I can go to and talk to about finances. So she's not really diverse into finances like I am, but that doesn't mean we can't have a conversation and I can't show her what I'm seeing. And sometimes, she may say something back where I'm like, okay, like, wow, that does make sense, right? So, this is why it's important to have these conversations. Like my assistant, I look at assistant like someone like my wife, someone I can go to, I can have these conversations with. And because at the end of the day, you don't, they say you don't need your wife, but you kind of do. Let's be honest, you really do. You don't want to just, talk to your wife and, you put in $10,000 to something and next thing you just completely lose all the $10,000. Like, that's just going to create more drama than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean stop you from what you want to do. But, the thing is, come prepared, right? Come to these conversations prepared, have the numbers ready, show her the hypothetical growth. And more times than not, like if you have sound financial decision making, your wife is going to trust you. And, that's what it means for me when it has an assistant. And then accountability partner. So, I always consider my boys my brothers, but one of my brothers is my accountability partner. So we do meet a couple times a week. We actually talk about our finances. We hold each other accountable. We talk about our next steps. We talk about what we can do heading into the next month. And it's just really someone that champions your success. Not saying that not everyone that I talk to doesn't champion my success, because I feel like they do. But it's just someone that, we're both really diverse into finance. So someone that I can go to, relate well, best man in the wedding. So, truly is one of my best friends, one of my brothers. So, the information that we give each other is genuine and honest. So, you need something like that in your corner. So when they said accountability partner, I thought that was definitely a good add-on. And last thing I'll leave with is that money is a tool. So at the end of the day, money is just money. It's not a bad thing. And it has nothing to do to be associated with like the devil and Illuminati. Like everyone who is rich is not worshiping the devil. A lot of in the book, they even highlight that, their success really stems from their family, believing in, the Lord. So if you are someone who believes in a higher power, to me, it's like you don't get here without a higher power. So I do have faith in myself and the Lord and my family and my, circle to help me get where I want to be. So, it's kind of like, people say a gun is a tool, right? A gun is a tool. It's the person that uses a gun that makes it a bad weapon. Same thing with money. Money is just a tool. It's the person and how they use the money to make these decisions. So build your legacy. So that's one thing that they talked about in the book. That's the biggest thing I took from this whole book is building your legacy. So build your legacy to where you have enough to support your generations to come, and then also to give back. So one thing that really stuck home to me, like the biggest thing I took out of this is the legacy and how that you can make an impact into a community. So, if someone has the power and the wealth to make that impact, they can go ahead and make that impact into a community. You may not see it when you're here, but maybe it can impact generations down the road, outside of just the four walls that you have. That's my ultimate goal, is to try to give back as well. Me and my wife, we already kind of donate. So whatever we go through our loose clothes, whatever we don't can't fit anymore, whatever old, whatever we just want to swap out, we take and we actually donate.